You're now live.
We are live, and this is to go over the proposed amendment to S60, which is the municipal and co-op bill. And Ellen thought she was finished with us. But Senator Perchlik had an amendment, and because this is such a technical bill, I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to digest what changes he's proposing, and not, well, we can't meet in the corner on the floor like we used to, or the coat room for a half an hour. So, Andrew, why don't you tell us what you have in mind here?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and sorry for bringing this kind of small issue up to the committee, taking your time on it. But basically, the bill talks about one of the restrictions on these pilot projects for the utilities is 2%. And then the bill talks about 2% of the utilities plant capacity. And I read those words, but when the reporter of the bill talked about it, he talked about the value of the 2% of the value. And so there was a disconnect there. So I looked into it because in Title 30 and net metering and a lot of other parts where we deal with utilities and permitting, plant capacity is always about the kilowatt size of a generating plant. And my understanding from talking to Senator Bray and then also with the Department of Public Service, the intent was not a kilowatt capacity, but of the value of these municipal and cooperative utilities, like their asset value.
Yeah, that's what my understanding was.
Right. And I learned why it was in there because in the statutes that create these municipal utilities, they use the word plant to mean like the whole municipal utility. So that's kind of why that original word was used, but plant capacity just made it more confusing because it's defined in statute as kilowatt generating capacity. So I just thought it would be better to use a different word. And so I reached out to the reporter and others and then talked to Ellen about drafting something up. So that's a quick story on that, on the amendment.
Senator Bray.
So the department had brought us that language, and I think it was an assumption on my part that this was a term of art. And I had talked to one of the utilities who was referring to plant capacity. So I think editing for clarity is always good, as long as we don't run afoul of misusing a term of art. That was because the understanding, I think, between what you were aiming for and what the committee was reporting, the bill purports to do, is the same.
Okay. Ellen, why don't you explain to us, because I've got words being taken out, words being put in. Can you tell us what the whole sentence is proposed to be? And do you agree with this interpretation?
Yes, Ellen
Okay.
Tchaikovsky, Office of Legislative Counsel. So I do agree. So I did take over this bill from Luke. And I think it is important that the language capture your intent. So, last week when we were discussing this, I was picturing plant capacity meaning kilowatt capacity. And so I was intrigued by the discussion that you had in this committee about actual dollar amounts. So I think potentially this amendment can make it more clear, especially if that is the committee's intent, is to relate this to the value of the assets and not the generation capacity.
That was my understanding. And didn't this come from Riley Allen?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And my understanding of the explanation was it was the value of the asset, the plant, the physical value, and nothing to do with the output of kilowatt hours.
Right.
Okay.
And just for plain speaking, it's 2%. The average municipal utility has an asset plant value of a little less than $1 billion. So we'd be authorizing them to, on the pilot, expend up to or invest up to 20 million. And I think, so it's a big number. It's also only two. I mean, that was their suggested guardrail, and everyone seemed to stick to that. So,
Okay.
can I just check? Has anyone just for dotting the i's and crossing the t's here before we finish? At the department, has someone seen the new language and say, oh, we're fine, we're not omitting a term of art, that's what we used in the beginning because we wanted it? That was the only concern I had.
Andrew, Senator Perchlik.
I did send it to Riley and asked to send it to Washington Electric Co-op, Vermont Electric Co-op, and VEPSA. I heard back from the two co-ops in VEPSA, that they're okay with the amendment as drafted by Ledge Council. I have not seen an email back from Riley. He did agree in an email that clarity would be good, that changing it from plant capacity to something else would be welcome, but he hasn't responded directly to the Ledge Council draft.
Okay. Do you know, sorry, since it's on the floor and we're passing over the thing, do you happen to know if he's in and when he saw it and all that jazz?
He is in. He was responding over the weekend. He did send me an email on Friday when I first brought it up, and he said, oh, I'll look at it over the weekend. And I think either Sunday, he said, yeah, changing it would be good. I think he suggested a different word than net asset, like value investment, or I can't remember. I could look at the email. But he said, yeah, clarity would be good, basically. And what about this word? But
He agreed that we were trying to do the physical value of the plant, not the output.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So if he comes up with a better word, as long as we're agreed that this is what we intended, does that work? Did anybody think we were talking about kilowatt hours? Okay.
I originally thought that, but then I think Riley corrected us. So, yeah.
Okay. It sounds like people agree that this may not be the world's most, maybe out there's better wording, but this is probably, we're removing a term of art, which doesn't mean what we want it to mean in this case. And we're putting in something else. Is that okay? Senator Bray.
So, this makes sense to me. And again, my only concern is if we can't get, I guess to cut to the chase, if we don't get an answer from Riley, do we want to do this tomorrow?
I think he knows it's there. If he had any real issue with it, I'm quite sure we would have heard.
Okay. Then I'd like to support the amendment for the sake of clarity.
Is that a motion?
Senator McDonald has his hand up.
Oh, I can't see you for the glare,
Just
Senator.
Blinded
Yes.
by the light.
We've gone from cows to radiance.
I went out on the porch. If the bill comes up tomorrow, this is going to be amendment offered on the floor by Senator Perchlik, is that correct?
Yes.
And would there be any harm in waiting to do it before third reading? Simply
It is
to
third
get back
reading.
to hear from Riley before.
It is third reading.
Aha,
That's why we passed over it.
okay.
There is another body if we've missed it. I mean, Riley knows what we're doing. He did email back. He didn't say, no, you can't do that. He said making it clearer would be better. I
Sounds
think-
reasonable to me, Madam Chair.
I think I'm comfortable going forward, and if Senator
So-
Bray,
Yeah, so if we vote on this, I'll also make a point of reaching out to Riley so that can check in with him before the floor.
okay. And if he says, whoops,
Right. I mean,
Just
I know that there's
drop
the
me
other
a note
side.
or ask to pass it over, and we'll do this again tomorrow.
I know there's the other side, but I would hate to send anything if we were close, but we didn't wait.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Thank
I
you.
think also when you send something like this out, if staff has any real issues, they're usually good at telling you, whoa, you can't do this.
Right.
So, all right.
So I don't think we
Always-
get to a vote.
That-
Always good to have
I
someone
think that
double-checking
was a
us.
motion to approve. Is that correct, Senator Bray?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, say no. Well, I'm seeing that as 7-0. I don't two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, I got everybody here. So,
Senator Cummings,
yes,
this is Faith. I just got a note from Riley Allen
yeah,
that says, I agree and thought I had responded, but not to this language. Apologies.
okay. So he agrees. So Senator Bray, would someone else like to do that? Or Senator Bray, you could just say we agreed,
Sure. Since
7-0? Okay,
Yep.
you're the reporter.
Can I
Ellen?
make one small statement? I just wanted to let you all know. So the first instance of amendment is fixing a typo that the editors found. So that's actually
Okay.
not directly associated with Senator Perchlik's amendment, but they asked if we could sneak it in to it. So it's just fixing a typo in the section heading.
On Senator former Senator Bloomer, Secretary Bloomer would have said, oh, we could have done that as a Scribner. but-
Yes, he actually told me that already, but here we are. So yes.
Okay, but if we're gonna do this formally, we might as well do it. Okay, thank you, committee. I think that's it for today.
can I ask a quick question, just
Yes.
process-wise? Senator Perchlik, have you already submitted your amendment to the Senate Secretary?
I did, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay. So, thank you all. We'll see you tomorrow, 1:30. All right.
Could I,
Ending live stream now.
Yes, ending live